What's up, Woolongers? It's Poir, back with another discussion video, and this will change the game as we know it. When the Wolong demo dropped earlier this week, there was an interesting option in the lobby settings which said Invade, which is the first time at hinting the game would have PvP or some form of invasions similar to Dark Souls and Elden Ring. There was even an invading NPC in the demo donned in the same red color we are used to from Souls games. Prior to this, I don't think it was mentioned that the game would feature PvP. Certainly none of the trailers highlighted it as a main feature. But recently in an interview with Masaki Yamagawa, the producer of Wolong, they have confirmed that PvP and specifically invasions will be in Wolong. This wouldn't be the first time Ninja has tried PvP. I believe one of the Ninja Gaiden games had it, which bombed, and then they tried it again in Nioh via an update, which again bombed, so maybe third time's the charm. But back to the interviewer, they asked if PvP was returning or if it was just going to be a simple NPC versus player thing like the Revenant system essentially. And Yamagawa said,
"There will be PvP in the game. For example, a player or NPC coming into your world is one way we do that. You can go to other players' worlds as well to fight in PvP. Also, there will be areas you can place a flag. There will be an enemy there, and that enemy may be able to bring in regular NPC enemies or other players, and then you can decide, do I want to fight the player first or do I want to fight the big enemy? And if I beat the big enemy, then everyone goes away. So you can decide what to do in that regard."
So very interesting reply, confirming both players and presumably NPCs with other players' gear setups similar to Revenants invading your world against your will. This is something they haven't done yet, as PvP in Nioh was strictly a mode you went to and fought 1v1 with rounds and stuff like an actual fighting game. Here, you're going to be taking on not only the harsh world of enemies, but also other players. But there does exist co-op, so we could be looking at potentially a 3v1 or 2v1 situation, similar to Elden Ring, unless there's the possibility of multiple invaders as well. The second thing he mentioned was in regards to flags, specifically saying you can place a flag in a certain area with an enemy there that can bring in invaders. I presume he means not voluntarily, but rather meaning unique enemies that guard the flag spots. For example, the bird boss in a demo would be sort of like Bell Maidens in Bloodborne that can bring in invaders, and if you kill them in time and place a flag near them, that will purify the area, disabling people from coming in. It wouldn't make sense to choose to place a flag, spawn an enemy, and then pick to kill them or invaders they spawn. That seems kind of weird, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how this will work out. But yeah, that was the interview. PvP confirmed, invasions confirmed. Now, I want to give Team Ninja the benefit of the doubt. This could be really cool, and could be one way this game can be unique to its comparisons of Nioh 2 and Sekiro it's been getting. And maybe a way to compete against Elden Ring, or at least capture some of that PvP audience, which not only Souls was successful for its PvE, but its PvP system did create a hardcore fanbase around it. But there are some big problems they are going to run into and have to clear for this not to be a negative for the game. First off, the title of the video. PvP may be why the deflect frames are as tight as they are. Surely they tested PvP using the combat of the game, so it is likely that being too generous with the deflect frames broke PvP in a way of it being too easy to parry, and thus resulted in easy deflects of most attacks players use, which is obviously bad. Parrying should take skill, timing, etc., as it usually does in Souls games. But the negative to that is PvE is going to suffer because they likely are not going to give more frames to deflect. So this could be a case of PvP ruining a mechanic for PvE. But if that's the case, and they do not intend to change deflect frames, then the fix to this is to slow down or reduce the attack speed or amount of attacks enemies use in Wolong. I plan to make a comparison video soon, but the enemies in Wolong, humans, attack much more than Nioh 2. Not only that, but faster as well, with a worse camera that kind of blocks your vision half the time, making it harder to react. So this will be the band-aid that lessens the punishment of the low deflect frames, while keeping PvP more balanced to not be a parry fiesta. Currently, based off the demo, if you miss a parry in Wolong, you got hit like 3 to 4 extra attacks afterwards, because most of the enemies attacked in strings of 3 to 5 versus the 2 to 3 they did in Nioh 2. So if they lowered that number, then the downside of missing the deflect is lessened, and the smaller frames wouldn't be as big a deal, because missing wouldn't be as big as a punishment. But the second concern for invasions is gear, loot. We Diablo, grind to win. A big reason PvP in Nioh was a joke was because loot existed, and because of the huge range of abilities and weapon levels and even player levels reaching 700 plus, ethereal weapons level 300 plus 25 or some shit, like the balance was clearly not considered too well when adding it. So Wulong will be no different. As I covered in my build video talk, buffs and various abilities and stats gave you a clear advantage over the enemy, and invasions will be no different. The same Hyper Armor Earth spell, for example, someone invades, they cast that, and now can attack you without worrying about being stun locked. Or they can pre-buff with a fire buff spell and one-shot you with a big weapon skill, for example. Nioh had similar cheap things like heal over time Omnio people use often, you could use your Guardian Spirit skills in PvP against players, and more. Then of course there's the balancing aspect on the dev side. Something being too strong in PvP, it gets nerfed because of people crying about it, and then that skill or ability or whatever is now worse for PvE, and vice versa. Had they not included the loot system of Nioh in this game, I would be more optimistic for this, but yeah, balance is likely going to be iffy. And it's worse here because it's invasions, not an optional mode you can partake in because you want to like in Nioh, but forced upon you if you play online or if you play in co-op. Speaking of co-op, for the invader, it can also be bad with ganks and the like, so yeah, balance, big concern. Next, connectivity, a concern as well. Already in the demo, co-op was extremely laggy for most, so invasions with multiple people could get ugly, especially if multiplayer is not region locked. And lastly is, of course in multiplayer games, cheating. The game's releasing on PC, so you know, even on PS4, some people use save editors, even on Nioh 2, a PvE only game, giving them invincibility, infinite yokai gauge, absurd attack modifiers, or perfected stats. They are going to have to be aware of those threats and potential griefs by including the invasion system. FromSoft even had to get an anti-cheat program for Elden Ring, because I mean the rest of their games were hacked, so there are going to be steps they're going to have to take to fight against cheating. So yeah, PvP, it could be really cool, but it can also be a train wreck.
Do not get it twisted.
We'll have to see once we get new info, and hopefully they make a trailer covering it, because it's pretty under the radar right now, despite being a huge thing for the game that people should know. So what do you guys think of PvP by Team Ninja for Wulong? Specifically, invasions. Do you like invasions, or would you rather have normal PvP in like an arena or something? But the one thing I will say is that Team Ninja is vigilant when it comes to updating the game. For better or worse, a lot of mechanics I built my builds around were nerfed, so if things do get bad in PvP, at least gear related, they should be more quicker to respond than the fiasco that happened in Elden Ring with Rivers of Blood and stuff, so that is one bone I'll throw them. They are good at updating the game. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Of course, we have to wait and see how everything pans out, but just wanted to have some premature discussion. But that's it for me. Before you leave, if you want the best Wulong content around, smash that like button and subscribe for more Wulong epicness.